Hello, I would like to inform you that what you're about to listen to are the views and comments from the host and guests and only reflect their own views and not the community as a whole. I hope you enjoy the podcast, and Eddie, play that banter section.
So
Grade 12.
Susan Suwo, but I don't do Mandarin. I do I was meant to do Cantonese,
Oh,
but,
you do Cantonese.
but I'm not even that good in that. So let's not go down that rabbit
You're
hole.
better than me.
I knew that. Yes, I've got that recorded.
Better than me as well.
I've got that recorded. So nice.
Lovely.
Oh, that's dangerous. That's good blackmail material right there.
Oh yes. Hello everybody, this is the Ed Talks About podcast, our weekly podcast about cosplay, Comic-Con, and everything else. I'm your host Eddie, and this week we are talking about Cosplay Life Balance. Is there one? Does one exist? We're going to discuss about that. Joining us on the podcast is Cassandra of Steal a Strange Cosplay and Libra of Libra Lee 7. Welcome to you both.
Hi.
Hello. You said my cosplay name correctly, though.
Oh, that's good. Yes, I mean, I have not been practicing. Yeah.
He has been practicing. It's obvious.
No, not at all. Can't tell. Yeah.
Anyway, what was I going to
Lots
say?
of rehearsal there.
Yeah, lots of rehearsals. So, anyway, what I was going to say. So, we're going to be talking about cosplay life balance because I think we all know about con crunching, we should all avoid. We all enjoy the cosplay life when we're at the Comic-Con, but like for cosplayers and photographers who like prep or like do their bit afterwards, I wonder what the lifestyle is afterwards, because I can talk about one thing. I can talk about an aspect of one thing, obviously, as from a photographer's point of view. But it's good to hear from a cosplayer's point of view. So, anyway, before we get into that, I always ask this question. So, Cassandra, once the satellites have aligned itself, there's a bit of a satellite delay with Cassandra at the moment.
Yes.
So, what I was going to say, yes, how's the last 7 days for you?
Yeah, been pretty busy. Been busy playing lots of D&D with friends. I got to pet my friend's cat. That was definitely a highlight, 'cause he is best boy. And just surviving this lovely heat wave that we're in the middle of. It's great fun, especially when you look like a star. Trying not to get sunburnt. It's good fun.
Yeah, just not dealing with the heat that well. Yeah. Libra, what about you? How's the last 7 days for you?
It's been good. Seen the boyfriend. The maintenance has happened for Final Fantasy 14, so I am now twiddling my thumbs. And like, my Massive FC did an event yesterday for it, and that's pretty much it, really.
I did
a little bit Baldur's Gate.
Yes, I did go. So Libra gave me a suggestion of like I had a free day on Monday. She goes, "Oh, she go to King's Cross and see
the
the."
The eighth rate.
Yes, I never went.
Oh, you disappoint me.
I'm always disappointing. Yeah, it's what I do. It's what I do. No, I think I just didn't want to be walking around London in the heat at the time. So, and saying that today's been the hottest day of the week so far. So yeah, I'm recording this a couple of days.
Yeah, let's just say working in Central during this heat is not fun.
The thing is, though, I've taken time off work, and I take the time off work during the hottest day of the year, where I could have been sat in my office in a nice air-conned room. So that's fun.
Sucks to be you.
Yeah, thanks. I know, thanks.
Yeah, it's my workplace, nice aircon.
Fuck off. To be fair, I've been sat in Pret, so it's
walk-in freezers.
Mine has aircon too, to be fair, but like it's not the strongest.
At least with my job.
Oh, I should have used the ice machine today. I didn't think of that. I've got an ice machine. Should have used that.
It's alright. I get walk-in freezers too, out the back, so I can.
Oh well, that's a tomorrow Cassandra job.
See, for me, I can just walk into the back freezers from my workplace. You'll never know we're gone.
To be fair, I can go into our server room and at work I could, yeah. But anyway, let's not go down that road. Anyway, so what I was going to say. So we're talking about cosplay life balance, and something's happened to my life which I won't go into details with, but I just thought about it and thought, we talk about con crunching, which I say is a bad thing. We talk about how to have good time at a Comic-Con. We all know how to have a good time. So we all plan and all that. But I just think do we put too much emphasis on it? Do we give ourselves a balance so that we make sure we have a life outside of cosplay maybe and things like that? Because I look at my own life and look at myself and go, I don't know if I can do that. I don't know. I don't think I do it enough. But I don't know if it's a me thing or a cultural thing. I don't know. So we'll just talk about it and things like that. So so I'm just going to start batting out questions, and my guests are free to ask me questions they want as from a photographer's point of view. Because
Sounds like fun.
I mean, I can end up talking to myself or just ask myself questions, which is a bit weird if I ask the question and then answer at the same time. But anyway, that's not here nor there. Anyway, I'll start with you, Cassandra.
Ask away.
At the beginning of the year, do you start planning all the conventions that you could go to for the whole of for the following 12 months, or do you try to take things one con at a time?
So, for me personally, for financial reasons, I can't be affording to do every single convention there is. Along with, I work 6 days a week, so I don't have a lot of holiday to be taking for things like conventions, because I work evenings and weekends, perks of working in theatre. But so when it comes to start of the year, there's usually a fair few which I'm right, I'm definitely going to be going to those, like MCM London, both of them. That's my local convention, so for me it's okay, definitely attending that because I literally just half an hour on the tube and I'm there. Other conventions, I'd say MegaCon London is also one that I know I'm definitely would be doing because again, it's local. And this coming year, so January 2025, it's literally the day after my birthday. So who needs to do something for your birthday when you can see all your friends at Comic-Con? And other conventions, I just play it by ear. It's if I want to go to them, maybe I will, but I'm not in a rush to do all of them. It's more so which ones are most of my friends going to and which ones would make the most sense for me money-wise to go to. But for me, it's just some of them are spontaneous, but most of them are I just know because I know the events, I know what to expect from them, I know whether or not I'll enjoy them or not. So that's kind of what plays into my decision.
No, that's fine. That's I totally understand, and there's a reason why I'm asking this question first before I get to my next question. But Libra, what about you? How do you plan the conventions you want to go to for for the whole year, or do you play it by ear as such?
One convention I have to play by ear because it's we don't know the dates until a podcast comes up. So it's right, I need to have these dates up, but we kind of can guess the dates roughly. But then it's literally put it in May, October is definite. And some I just go, maybe I'll go to it, like MegaCon, may go. There's a few that I just wouldn't go to. I'm not gonna name names, but there's a few that I wouldn't. But normally,
I was going to say Insomnia is off the list at the moment.
Insomnia is just not existing anymore.
Which is weird. So weird.
Yeah, I heard about that. I was what went down with that?
They hadn't paid their staff or something for a while, and I'm pretty sure it's owned by Game, and Game are completely going under anyway.
I heard games sold onto someone else, or they gave the hosting rights to someone else, Player One or something. Anyway, we're not going down that rabbit hole because
the two subsidiaries, Game has completely gone downhill. It's
they're not even selling Game anymore. That's the whole IP, and they're not selling games anymore.
Nope. So that's probably why Insomnia is going down. I think Gamescom is still going on.
But that's not the same thing. The Gamescom is in Germany.
Yes.
Yes.
And then you've got Japan Expo. That's still going.
I mean, EGX have now combined with MCM, so
that will be interesting to see how they do for it. But they haven't hiked the price up, which I was actually surprised by.
Well, yeah, I think that the question is it one ticket both events?
Yes,
or
me too, actually.
One or two. You have to get a separate ticket for each event.
It's one ticket for
Amazon,
I think.
Yes, I did read about that. It's going to be quite interesting. Anyway, so going back to the original question, what you're saying is you also, like Cassandra, plan some but not all. Yeah, that's fine. I try to plan, or at least put down in my calendar which events I like to go to, even if I go to it or not. At least I know it's in my calendar. I think I was meant to. I was thinking about going to MegaCon Manchester because I've heard of all the MegaCons, that's the best one. But I haven't bought a ticket. I haven't bought a train ticket. I haven't bought a hotel ticket. So part of me is going, should I actually go? Am I desperate? It doesn't sound like I really want to go. And it's, with all that cost of travel and hotel and all that, I don't know if it's worth it or not. So I might have to give that a miss. But I don't know. Anyway, so I'll stay with you, Libra, because obviously, as a Comic Con cosplay podcast that this is, once you work out which ones you're going to, do you start planning
Yeah.
the cosplays you want to wear for each of those events, including the build time and things like that?
Yes, I normally commission my cosplays if I do have them commissioned, at least 3 months in advance. Just 4 months, depending on the complexity, or I'll try and make it myself. I know what I want for every convention, and then panic last minute that I haven't styled a wig because I suck at them.
I mean, that's a life, yes. No, Cassandra, what about yourself? Do you plan? Do you make, or do you, like Libra, commission cosplays?
So, in regards to planning, I do, but I don't. I actually have a note on my phone. I'm just going to glance at it, where I think I deleted most of it, but at the beginning of the year, I wrote down the conventions that I was yep, these are the ones I want to aim to go to, and then potential cosplay plans and whether these cosplays are ones which are finished, which I can just wear. Is it ready, or whether oh, do I need to get bits for it? Do I need to commission anything for it? Wigs, costume, because I can't style wigs or sew by machine to save my own life. And whether anything I want needs repairs. So, for example, one cosplay which I've wanted to rewear this year is my Cersei Lannister from Game of Thrones, but I need a new corset for her. I need to fix the belt, and I need a new wig for her. So that's been in the plans to do at some point this year, but I need to set the finances aside, and this year my finances have been quite limited as I'm going to the US to go see my grandma in September. So it's I plan cosplays, but also I don't in regards to commissioning. Just like Libra, I like to leave myself plenty of time because I've had really good experiences with commissioners where everything arrives, it's perfect fit straight out the package. But I've also had bad experiences when the costume doesn't fit at all. So I like to have that time to know that I can either go get it altered or figure something else out within time. So I mean, yes, I end up panicking because I have anxiety, but it's not too chaotic.
No, that's fair. No.
If that makes sense, probably not.
No, it does
I'm
make
not good
sense.
at
It does make sense. So it's quite interesting that you both go out of your way for most of your cosplays. That you go out and commission your cosplay. You're not really making your own cosplays. Is that including props as well? Cassandra, I'll start with you.
I'm trying to think of the props I have for my cosplays. Because I don't actually have that many props for the cosplays that I have. I'm trying to think of the ones I do. When I did my Alison from House of the Dragon, the dagger I had for her is actually that was commissioned by someone a couple of people in the community, Pagan Props. They posted on their social media that they'd made this, and I immediately commissioned them for one because I knew that after watching the first season of House of the Dragon, that's a cosplay I wanted to do. But other than that, I don't really have any other props which are technically props, unless you count jewelry and stuff. But again, that's not really I'm commissioning someone just for that specific item. I've usually just been able to source things which are of that. So my Tris Marigold jewelry, which I wore this past MCM, I found that from a cosplay company in Ukraine who already made it, and it was just having a case of messaging them if it was still available and then just putting in the order. So it wasn't too hard.
No, don't understand.
I'm not good at making things.
Fair enough. Libra, what about yourself? Do you make props at all?
I made the Unistaff for May, and it's the first prop I ever made. And I then vowed to never ever make any props ever again. I get the craftsmanship and the time and the effort and the paint, and I was I don't have this. I needed it for KupoCon a few months beforehand, and then made it to the like my whole outfit and everything to the size that I was then, and then realized I probably should have elasticated a little bit more in like the skirt, because I felt really really comfortable with it. As much as I looked amazing, I was like, I don't feel comfortable with this. But I will commission people for my props. Kaiser cosplays.
Comfort has to be priority.
Like, Kaiser cosplay does a lot of props, and he's done some of my props for Yotsu and some other Final Fantasy, because that's what he mainly does. But he's done some other stuff recently, and it's been so good. Like, I will commission people that I deem like that have good of heart, and they're not going to cost the earth. Because there are some commissions that will just like cost the earth, and you're like, why? I know this doesn't cost as much commissioned. That's mainly my issue.
No, that's fair. I think I get to understand that. No, that's because I think the next question, talking about cosplay life balance, because it doesn't sound like you actually make many things. It sounds like you do have. You've decided that you don't want to make good cosplays because you want to give yourself the time to do other things. Have I got that correct, Libra? I'll start with you.
I will make my cosplays if I have enough time between work and my other stuff, like streaming, like raiding with my team and like Final Fantasy and stuff like that, and then getting photo shoots done in between cons. It's sometimes hard on where I'm like, I don't have the time to sit there for 6 hours a day to make an amazing cosplay that I know if I sacrificed a bit of my life, it would be amazing. I just don't see the like. It's not. I'm not a professional, so it's not like it's my job. I enjoy it, but it's not. I'm getting it for myself, and I know I can do it, but I just want to experience life more.
That's interesting. That's good. Okay, yeah, because that's the we've not spoke about this much before hitting the record button on the podcast. So hearing all of this is quite fascinating to me to hear. Cassandra, is that the same thing for you, or is it the lack of? Sorry, I shouldn't say this about Libra, but as a general level between the two of you, it's the lack of skill, and that which also then means lack of time makes you want to go to a commissioner to get stuff done.
It's a bit of both for me. Like, I would love to invest like time, energy, and money into gaining these skills, but at the same time, with the job that I work in, the industry I work in, I work 6 days a week. Evenings and weekends in the theatre industry are practically non-existent. So anytime that I have looked into like going to sewing classes and things, so I could actually look. Cause I used to know how to machine sew when I was a teenager, but since then it's gone. I can still hand sew, but not very well. But I can hand sew, and I've looked into classes, but they're all like evenings, weekends, and I can't commit to doing Saturdays because I work half the day on a Saturday. But also at the same time, like Libra said, it's like I want to spend time doing other things. I want to see my friends. I want to spend time with my family. I like to play Stardew Valley when I'm tired from work. As much as I'd love to have like the time and financial stability to be able to put so much time and effort into making my cosplays, at the same time, even with me commissioning things or buying things, it's still time consuming, and it still requires, I'd say, most of the time, well, not all the time, but a lot of the time, it's the same amount of financial input as like other friends of mine who've made like every single element of their cosplay. And you don't have to make something for it to be counted as a cosplay.
Absolutely, I'm not sorry. I shouldn't be. I should have mentioned this earlier. I'm not trying to compare nor compete cosplayers who make cosplays and cosplayers who buy. I wasn't doing that. It's more about the trade-off between spending that time creating the cosplay and then buying or commissioning someone for it. And I'm trying to understand or trying to hear an explanation why you would do that. And it's either, from what I'm hearing, lack of skill, lack of time, or I've done this, I've done that, I don't want that anymore. I actually want to spend my time doing other things. Is that have I hit the nail on the head with one of the three points or all at once?
It's also with like buying cosplays, you can always adjust them. Like, you can always have a base. Like, some people will buy a cosplay, have it as a base, and then just completely go to town on it because they have the stuff to make it better, which is what I would normally do. I'd have like a base for a cosplay.
Yeah, I've done that recently. My DLC Tris Marigold dress, which I wore at this past MCM, the dress itself I got secondhand, but it was a Mick costumes dress. And then I took it to be professionally altered to add a modesty panel and shorten it. And I added a lot of things and changed quite a lot about that actual dress. When you look at it, most people didn't realise it was a Mick costumes cosplay because it was altered and changed so much. If you look closely enough, yeah, if you probably recognise the pattern and stuff, you could be like, oh, did you get this from here? But people have messaged me asking where I got the dress from, and when I said, they were like, oh, it looks so different. I'm like, well, I don't just wear things out of the packet. Even if I do buy something like a pre-made cosplay, I add my own twist onto it, whether that's altering it in some way or just adding like accessories and things to it to make it have more to the eye than just what you see on the webpage, if that makes sense.
No, yeah, I get that. So those three options I gave, they're not exclusively the answers. There could be an element from each and things like that, which I get, which I totally understand that. Because I find it fascinating to hear this because I haven't spoken to other photographers like this, but I'm assuming that they're similar to in my position. But again, just any photographers who's listening to this, they want to argue about this with me. More than happy to what's the word? Step down from this statement I'm about to make. But I feel like I'm literally going from one photo shoot to another, be it a location shoot, a Comic-Con shoot, I don't know, paid shoot. What's a paid shoot? And I'm literally editing photos back to back to back to back to back. I don't really feel like I've had time to sit down and go, cool, I'm going to play video games here. I've got myself a Steam Deck, and I've mentioned this a few times, and I do love it. And for a couple of weeks, I was like playing Spider-Man Remastered solidly. I'm about 33% into the storyline, but I've had to stop and I've had to put that down because I've gone, shit, I've wasted that time playing that game, not editing photos. And when I say I've wasted that time, that's obviously not what I mean, but that's what I say into my head. And it feels like I've always said that the life cycle of a relationship between a cosplayer and a photographer, the cosplayers spend their time before the Comic-Con and photographers spend their time after the Comic-Con, if that makes sense. So you as cosplayers create the costume, get photos. Us photographers take the photos and edit them, depending on how the level of editing that goes on. And I just feel like I'm not giving myself time to like have fun, go out, go to the cinema and things like that. Because it's not like I can really offset my work to anyone else. It's quite an interesting thing to hear that though I have heard people say, oh, I've commissioned this, that, and the other, we can't do that as photographers, cosplayers can. That's just struck me quite hard. I don't know why it's taken me this long to like see that fact.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I can see it, not just like in the way that cosplayers preparing photographers are doing it after the con, but I've chatted with a few photographer friends of mine, like at the beginning, like on the Friday of Comic Con, just to be like, what's your plan for this weekend? Like, please, like, make sure you're eating. Like, and every time I saw them, even if I wasn't shooting with them, I'd always go up to them just to say hello and be like, have you eaten? Have you drank? Because people don't really acknowledge that, yes, the cosplayers, we're standing and posing for our photos, and like, yeah, like, fair enough, but the photographers, they're the ones who are on their feet all day, who are running after us like headless chickens, and then after the convention, they don't get to collapse like we do. Like, they've got all this editing to do. But people also don't realise that a lot of the time the photographers who do shoot at Comic Cons also have backlogs prior to the Comic Con as well, which should be taken into consideration, or at least that's what I found when I've chatted with people. And I think people need to, as a cosplayer, I think that photographers do need to be acknowledged more for what they actually end up doing, both before, during, and after the con, rather than just, oh, I shot with this person and they did a really good edit. When really it's like, we might be putting costumes together, but the photographers, they're the ones buying the very expensive camera equipment, lights, lenses, Photoshop, Lightroom, and everything. And then they're the ones who are still doing the work after the convention, whereas as cosplayers, like, I can take 3 days after a con to just pass out, whereas you guys are sorting through, like, thousands of photos.
Absolutely. Libra, did you want to come in with a comment?
I do think the photographers need to be more acknowledged for what they do. It's like, People do think it's really easy to take a photo, and I'm like, it's really not, because like you see these people, they take a photo on their phone, and you watch them go straight into an app to then edit everything, and they're like, oh, I look amazing. And then when they get their photos from a photographer, they're like, well, why do I not look the same? I'm like, you literally tuned yourself to look so unnatural, and the photographer's done such a good job, and then they'll go and edit on top of it. And I'm like, the photographer took potentially 4 hours to edit that photo, and you've just destroyed it. Like, I've seen people have their photos back from MCM. They've gone, oh, do you like this photo? I'm like, yeah. And then they go, this is the one I posted, and I went, it looks nothing I fucking like.
I wasn't. This is not meant to be like
A jab at anyone.
a jab at anyone or a just cosplayers go, oh, thank you photographers. That's not the purpose of this episode of the podcast. But I do appreciate what you have said about us photographers and things like that. And I wonder why we photographers do take it personally when we do get our photos edited and things like that. Because, like I said, as I mentioned earlier, different photographers have different workflows. Nothing wrong with that. I know some photographers who just get the photos, give it back to people, not a problem. But there's some photographers who do some slight editing adjustments here and there, and you got some photographers who do like full composite edits, which I would never ever want to do. I haven't got that much time in my hands. But that does return to the basic question I'm asking about. Do I need to then start looking at my own life and making sure that I'm like balance? I have a better balance of things, because it sounds like and I'm only speaking on my behalf, and other photographers I'll let them speak on their own behalves. But is it because I'm focusing way too much editing these photos? Because the one thing we haven't all acknowledged yet, and I just need a hell yeah or a yes or whatever, is that I'm assuming we all have day jobs, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Such enthusiasm about having a day job at 9 to 5. No, it's fine. It's not fine. It's fine.
We love adulting.
I hate that terminology because we.
I'm an adult.
Oh no. But basically, I obviously got a balance between obviously okay, we'll use the terminology adulting. I have to go to work.
I can good at educated English.
Can you though? Can you? But we're talking about how we all got day jobs, a 9 to 5 for some of us. Some of us are working Monday to Friday. Some of us are working 6 days, things like that. Some people may work 7 days. That's illegal, I think. But anyway, neither here nor there. But I was just saying that it's quite interesting. I wonder, because of us being adults, that we know our responsibilities and things like that. The way that you've chosen to cosplay your way, should I say, your style, is that like Asada was saying, you could spend the time trying to learn to sew, go to classes, things like that, but you can't spend enough time. Libra, is that the same thing for you then? Is that, because I don't think we've ever covered that with you? Is that similar to you? Is that do you wish to have that, or do you go, no, I'm making sure I have a nice balance between a cosplay life, a work life, and life?
I kind of like to have the balance of all three. Unless like I have like a few cosplay shoots lined up, then I will sacrifice work a bit for it. But then after, I will then do all the hours I've missed as overtime, and then go, I'm really tired because I didn't, I didn't pre-plan to do like overtime before the shoot and did it after. So then I'm like struggling, which is a pain, really. But I mean, I would like to have a bit more life of like cosplay and my actual life than my actual work life, instead of the other way around, where work.
I think we all like to do less work, more other things, but that's not how life is treating us at the moment.
No, it's not.
But sorry, you were saying I
One
interrupted.
can
Carry
dream.
on. Yes, you were saying, Libra. I'll let you. Sorry, I shouldn't interrupt.
It's all right. It's just sometimes I just like go, do I like? Is it really worth the extra hours when I could be doing like something cosplay related or life related that I could use with my cosplays, if you get what I mean.
No, I totally understand that. I mean, like at the moment, through circumstances at work, I've actually this week taken a week off work. I can't remember if I mentioned that early in the podcast or not, but it's really interesting that I've chosen that time to think, rather than thinking, oh, shall I go to, I don't know, staycation in the United Kingdom? Should I go on holiday outside of the United Kingdom? Should I go visit my parents or see friends and things like that? No, my first thought was, oh, all this free time I can go and edit photos. Like, that to me is astounding that that's my thought pattern. And I don't think, oh, I should actually do something else and things like that. I don't get me wrong, I've made sure I am doing something else, with my time. Like the Monday, I didn't choose to straight away start editing photos. I actually said I'll go on I think that's it. I went on a tour around London. I went on a food tour. So if anyone saw my post a couple of weeks relative to this podcast, so I went to an all-you-can-eat meat buffet thing, steakhouse thing, and it was delish. Not that delish, but I mean, it was. I felt full. I didn't actually have dinner that day, but I also later during that day went to an oyster bar and ordered which turned out to be £15 worth of oysters in the end, because I love oysters. That wet booger texture. Love that shit.
Sorry, that description.
Well, that's what everyone else says to me about oysters, so that's fine. No, but generally, it's like I at least gave myself a day to explore London, film a block. At least I didn't say, oh, I wasted my, not saying wasted my time, but I used my time to edit photos all 5 days. I did other things. I'm planning to go for a walk around where I live, and things like that. Anyway, but what I'm trying to get back to talking about is that I mean, have you heard of other photographers talk about what I'm saying? Libra, I'll start with you.
No, I
Oh.
actually haven't. No. To be honest, no.
Is it because you don't talk to other photographers, or they just don't moan like I do?
I just don't hear it, really. They don't really moan about it. Like, they just carry on, I guess.
Yeah. Is that why? I mean, I mean, I know there's some photographers who deliver photos within maybe 3 to 6 months, maybe 9, maybe 12-month period. Do you think it's because they do choose to have a better cosplay life balance?
Or sometimes they just have such a backlog that they just have a breakdown. That's also another option. I mean, when I did my shoot with Johnny on that Sunday, I got my photos back on the Thursday or the Friday. And I was just like,
yeah, I shot with Johnny on the Saturday, and I had my photos. I was sent some photos, I think, by the Tuesday. And
Yeah.
I
Are
was
we talking about the
wow,
same
that
Johnny
was
here?
fast.
Yes, we are.
And
he turned up
Johnny
Saturday.
Chatham.
Yeah.
Yeah. I shot
Okay.
my tryst with him. One of my first DLC tryst photos on my page was by him. But he sent me these pictures because he sent me a few unedited previews. He was like, "Oh, what do you think?" And I was really happy. So I was like, "Yeah, I trust you. Do what you want to do." And then a few hours later, he sent me the finished edits, and I was shocked. I messaged him thanking him, but then I was like, "Hold on a minute. How did you get these done so quickly? I told you there was no rush." And he was like, "Yeah, I had time on my lunch break." I was just like, fair enough. I mean, thank you. Very much appreciative. But I was shocked. I was like, was not expecting that.
I'm really pissed off. Sorry.
Yeah, he had my photos. So I got my photos back on the 2nd of June.
Okay, right. So, here's the timeline so far for me. All I've done is uploaded the photos to my laptop.
Christmas.
You can say Christmas all you like. It might be true. No, I hope not. Fuck no. I've uploaded it to my laptop. I think I've selected the photos that I want to edit, and that is it. I still need to go through it, level 1 of just color adjustments, cropping, and things like that, and then any that I choose to put through Photoshop to that maybe give an extra layer of finesse to it. oh, there's some SFX I need to add to it, because I am now telling myself not all photos need to be at a high level type of thing. I don't know. Maybe it's because I don't want to have this mindset that I don't think people appreciate the work I put into it. But sometimes I do think that I'm like, that's really a bit negative, but that's how I feel from time to time. Anyway, I didn't ask Cassandra, but I think Cassandra's more or less answered this question. But have you heard of any other photographers who are like feel like they talk about editing photos 24/7?
Not many, but I have discussed it with some who I've like known for like years. Like when there's one who I'm really good friends with, Giles, and I always talk with him. Like he does like full background edits on every single one of his images, just because that's how he likes to edit cosplay photos. And I was chatting with him about it because he says how like he was saying how that can often take a long time to edit, like to get like cut everything out and make sure it fits and make sure the backgrounds look nice that he chooses. And I said to him, I was like, you spend so much time doing this, like, do you get enjoyment out of doing it? Because if you're not enjoying yourself, then why go to so much time and effort? And he said he enjoys it, which is why he does it, and he's happy to do it. But at the same time, like, it is a lot of work, which is why, like, I've always said to like every photographer I shoot with, I'm like, there's never any rush. Like, I get that people have lives, like they have families, they've got jobs, they've got paid work that has to come first. But at the same time, like, it's always a pleasant surprise. Like when I get photos back, like the other night, I was thinking about one of the shoots that I did at MCM, and then literally it was really weird. Like a few hours later, that photographer messaged me going, "Oh yeah, here are the edits I did," and I was shocked because I didn't message them. I was just thinking it. But at the same time, it was like, oh, this is nice, but there's still some which I've seen absolutely nothing from, and I'm not concerned because it's like, it's June now. It's been a month now since MCM.
Yes.
And again, I'm not concerned. Like it's only been a month, and people take thousands of photos over the course of a weekend. And people have lives, they have jobs, they have everything. Like people want to go on holiday, they want to do hobbies. Like I get it, it's not everything. And I'm happy to wait, but at the same time, I have heard of cosplayers like pestering like the week after MCM, being like, "Hi, where are my pictures?" And it's a bit like, hold on a minute, you just spent months making that cosplay. Give that photographer some time to work.
Yeah,
on
it's
those
such a
images.
double-edged sword about that type of response time from people, because I think the only reason they've asked that question is either one or two ways. Is either one, they don't know, they think it's just like some people think it's just to take a picture and then it's sent back to them, there's no real work added to it. Or they've had photographers who have taken their photos and given it back within a very short time frame, which, again, it's fine, it's not a problem, things like that. It's just, yeah, it's fair. Does it sound like, okay, I'm going to ask a very personal question to you two. Feel free to be brutally honest. And I'll start with Cassandra. Do you think I put too much time then into the photography, the photography side of my life?
I feel personally, like as long as you enjoy what you're doing and you don't look at it as a chore, you look at it as something you enjoy, then you don't put too much time into it. Like it's absolutely fine what you're doing. But if you're starting to look at something as a chore, then maybe you need to reconsider and actually start like balancing things out a bit more. That's what I'd say, at least.
Fair enough, fair enough. Libra, from your point of view?
No.
Okay, cool. For fuck's sake.
No. I like the fact that you got the time and the effort, that you've edited it so it's all nice and pretty, because there are some photographers that just slap it together and go, here's your photos, and I go, yeah, I'm not using these, they're going straight in the trash. I'm not kidding. I've got some photos back from photographers and I've gone, what the fuck is this? You made me look like a marshmallow. I know I have hamster cheeks. Sometimes I have hamster cheeks in my photos and sometimes I don't, but if they're really prominent, I'm like, yeah, no, you've added stuff to that to make my cheeks slightly bigger, and I'm like, no, fucking don't in the bin.
To be fair, it could be the lens, not how they've edited, but it's quite interesting. I was going to say something I totally forgotten now. That's fine. I mean, the one thing,
Old age is
yeah, it really is. The one thing that has occurred to me just now, which I was going to, I'm glad I remembered it because I was going to bring this up, because some people's life balance takes over the cosplay stuff. Because I know lots of people who I used to shoot photos with no longer cosplay because of, they get married, they have kids, and that becomes their new dominant things in life. So, and don't get me wrong, I know there's still cosplayers who have gotten married, had kids, have kids, not had, have kids, and still cosplay, which is great. This is good, but I think it does seem like there gets a tipping point to where people decide to carry on cosplaying or not, which is another fascinating conversation we'd love to have with an ex cosplayer. But again, it's getting them onto onto the podcast to chat about it. But yeah,
I mean, everyone's lives are different, so sometimes people might feel the need to prioritize other things over cosplay. Like, I have a friend who hasn't cosplayed for a few years. She wants to get back into it. And I saw her recently because she's getting married in 2 months, and I was invited to her hen do. And I was the only one of like her cosplay friends who was actually like at the hen do. And all of her close friends were like, "Oh, how did you meet so and so?" And I said that we met through cosplay and how I still cosplayed, and they looked through my Instagram, really liked what I did. And my friend said, she was like, "Oh, I really want to get back into it, but right now I just can't because financially having to save up for a wedding, having to save for the mortgage and work and everything." And I said to her, I was like, "Look, cosplay isn't going anywhere. If you decide to come back to it, like, amazing. Would be lovely to see you do it again. But if not, it's not the end of the world because I met you through doing this hobby, but you're not just my friend because of cosplay. We just met by doing the hobby and realised we had so much more in common." Like, people can always come back to things if they want to, and even if they don't want to and they decide, actually, no, like, I'm much happier without the stress of doing whatever that is. Whatever works for them, really. Like, whatever's good for you at the end of the day. Like, you need to prioritise yourself, your mental health, and your well-being over stressing out about putting costumes on, really.
no, absolutely, you're totally right. You know, like you said, life comes first, everything else comes second, and things like that. You know, you got to make sure that you're not financially putting yourself into a position where you're screwed over, shall we say, and you can't get out of it. You shouldn't be putting yourself in that type of situation, things like that. Libra, is there anything that Cassandra said that resonated with you? Do you share the same opinion, or do you want to add a little bit more?
I do share the same opinion. It's like people come and go in the cosplay community a lot, and they come back and they just carry on from where they left off. And I think people forget that it's okay to take a break. It's okay to not go to every convention going and then cry at your bank account at the end of every month. Like, it's okay to go, I'm not doing this. Fuck what the mainstream's doing by going to every convention or having the latest cosplay every 5 minutes. It's okay to say no.
Ooh,
I'll agree
that
with that.
does actually bring to I just thought of this question or this thought. Do you think social media puts pressure on us to like sacrifice life for cosplay? Do you think there's a pressure on that? I'll start with you, Libra.
I think so. Like, there's a few. Yeah, I think there is. Like, because, like, some people where they have their normal life outside and then they've obviously done, say, streams online, like on Twitch, in cosplay, and then their personality that they had beforehand has now become their online persona. And it's really obvious to notice that they've now merged too much together. And you look at them and go, that isn't you. What is this shit? Stop. Like, you need to just take a break from social media because it is unhealthy to go, oh, I didn't go to San Diego Comic Con. Oh, I didn't go to Japan Expo. I didn't go to this convention in Japan that's really, really big. Would have done really well for me. But I can't go because I can't afford it.
Hmm.
We just need to stop looking at social media every 20 seconds to go, oh, I want that cosplay.
That
Because if I'm not cosplaying this game, franchise, blah, 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 I'm not part of the cool kids. Those cool kids will last like 2 years at best. Every fandom has its cycle, and there'll be another fandom that will repeat the cycle. We had it with Attack on Titan, Love Live. We've got it with Genshin at the moment. Has Been Hotel is another one that's slowly creeping Genshin out of the mainstream,
Definitely.
out of the mainstream circle that everyone cosplays. it all comes and goes. It's like, yeah, okay, if you want to cosplay it, go for it. But don't cosplay it because you have to. Do it because you like that character or you like that franchise or anime. Just do it because you want to do it, not because of what social media deems is. If you're not doing this, we don't give a shit.
Does remind me I need to look at my phone. I'm joking.
It's fine.
Cassandra, again, does that any of that resonate with you? Do you want to add a bit more to that, or do you disagree?
I agree with most of what has been said. Like, it's always healthy to take a break from social media. Like, it doesn't do any harm to not look at your phone and, as the parents would say, breathe some of that fresh air out in the world. But at the same time, I also see what you mean about people getting upset about not going to every convention. As I know, like, I tend not to go to every con because a lot of the cons, not to bash any convention, all have the same sort of stuff. So you're really not missing out on anything. And also, like, I know myself, like, earlier this year I planned to go to MegaCon Birmingham, but then I ended up being severely ill for quite a while, so I couldn't go. And I was upset for, like, the first day. Like, oh, there was friends who I hadn't seen in, like, over a year who were going there, and I was really upset that I couldn't see them. But at the same time, it was like, it's only a convention, there'll be other conventions. It's not the end of the world. Like, the important thing at the time was dealing with my health. And a lot of people do need, I think some people do struggle with the balance of life, real life, and cosplay life. And also in regards to people thinking they need to do a new cosplay for, like, every single convention, you really don't. Like, I rewear 90% of my stuff. Like, sometimes people go to me, oh, but you only cosplay as, like, the same characters, but do multiple versions. And I'm like, well, yes, because it means I can utilize things that I already have, therefore saving money, which is always a positive. Like, I've never been one to cosplay, like, the popular, like, thing, because I'm just not into that sort of thing. But, even so, it's like, I know that, like, probably come October MCM, there's going to be loads of House of the Dragon cosplayers. I'm planning my own one because I have a lot of love for that world. I don't have to plan my own one, but it's because that's what I want to do. And if that people are allowed to do, like, whatever they want to do as well. Like, we're all adults.
Yes, no, you fine. I don't want to interrupt you too much, especially with the satellite delay we're getting at the moment. You won't hear that satellite delay, by the way, podcast listeners. We are experiencing it.
Sorry.
That's why there's not much crossover between us chatting over each other, that's not your fault. Don't worry, because it's not your fault. I know we're getting close to the end of the podcast, so I just want to ask this question. Libra's been a bit quiet for too long, so I'll ask her this question now. Do you think you currently have a good cosplay life balance, or would you want to spend more time with life, with your cosplay, or maybe something else?
I mean, at the moment, work and life is great. My cosplay lifestyle is kind of taken the back foot, and it wasn't like that, oh god, 8 years ago.
Mm.
It was very much more in the forefront, but it's getting the time to book, like, photographers to do stuff, and it's obviously travel as well, because obviously it's not just you that's got to travel to said location, it's also the photographer, so then you have to factor in this. So that's why I kind of put on the back foot, because I don't have the money to do the shoots that I used to do when I was like 21, 22, when I had spare cash. And I'd like to have a bit more cosplay life in me, but at the moment it's kind of sat there in the dust.
Yeah, but before Cassandra jumps in, do you see? I mean, I'm not trying to attack you or anything like that, but do you really want to have a bigger cosplay life currently? I mean, what's the difference between when you were 21 to now? Why is there a shift between that moment of cosplay life to now?
Because I actually got more value out of my cosplays
Mm.
than I do now. Like, Yuna cost me a fortune, and I've only worn her twice. Whereas if I was like 21, 22 wearing it, I would have worn it like 8 times, 9 times already, and got double the photos that I have now, and done content with it. It's that being able to use it more.
But why have you lost that? Is it because of
It's funds, really.
Mm.
It's just funds.
Yeah.
That's the main
Yeah,
issue.
and sorry to bring up politics and all that, but is that due to um the cost of living going up, the war in Ukraine, COVID, Brexit, things like that, or do you think that would have that?
I think it's more the cost of living. Like, minimum wage is £12 too, if anyone doesn't know what it is for an adult. You can't live on that shit, right? It is impossible. Unless you're working in a job that's like 17 to £25 an hour, you can live. Anything on minimum wage, you are literally a slave to your workplace.
Yeah, no, I totally understand that. Cassandra, what yourself? Do you think you've got a good cosplay life balance?
I'd say that I do. I think it helps that I started cosplay when I was a university student, so even then I was having to juggle like my degree along with cosplay, and I wasn't working at the time, so my cosplays were very limited and quite few when I first started cosplay, versus now where I have a full-time job. I've got like, well, it's not livable, it's not like London living wage, but I live at home. I'm quite happy with like my sorry, I've got like hiccups. I'm trying not to hiccup. Because my body hates me. But I live at home. I'm comfortable and like living with my parents and everything because I like their company and I like my idiot dogs. But in regards to cosplay, I try to balance it out. So it's like this year specifically, unlike previous years, I'm really having to watch my money, not just because of the cost of living and everything, but because I'm going to go visit my grandmother in New York in September, which is definitely the most expensive thing I've ever done since I've become an adult. So I'm having to set aside quite a lot of money because it's so expensive out in the States. And also, flights are a lot of money. My bank account cried when I spent that money, so much so, I got a phone call from them asking if it was fraud. And I was like, nope, it's just me trying to book a flight. So for me, I think my balance is quite good. It's there, and I'm quite content with how it is. And I'm not worried about banging out like a new cosplay for every single convention. Like, I don't have to. I'm just happy that as long as I'm happy in what I'm wearing, like, that's all. And as long as things fit, like, that's fine. Make the most of it.
Mm, no, that's interesting. As I said earlier, I do feel like at the moment I don't have a good cosplay photographer life balance because I feel like any given moment I'm always thinking about editing photos or planning the next shoots and things like that. And it's very hard for me to think, oh, I'll take a month off because I'm always worried about someone dropping me a message and say those immortal words, when can I see my photos? And it's like, oh, I mean, you've given me time. That's great. I'm glad you didn't do that 4 minutes after the con is finished. You've given me at least 4 months. Okay, that's great. But at the same time, it's like, oh, can I not have a life? Can I not do this? And I've always moaned. I've always said this about photographers. I said, if you've got a backlog, go to less cons. And this year, I've said to myself, I'm going to less cons or not take my camera with me so that I can do less photography work. It's somewhat working, but at the same token, some people have asked me to do location shoots, which is great. So the number of shoots is probably similar, but just anyway, if I'm honest, I don't think I have a good photographer's life balance, and I would love to do less photography or maybe less podcasting or less maintenance on my website, social media, so that I can go out to to the theatre, to the cinema, hang out with friends or organise things with friends, things like that. And to be fair, actually, I say that, but this year I've actually made a point to actually just go out and go to the theatre and this, that, and the other. So it's not as bad this year about my photography life balance, but in previous years I think it's worse. If that makes sense.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, it does make sense.
Yeah, I like I said, and I know a lot of this pressure's on myself, which is not great. It's not the best, but at the same token, I've somewhat allowed myself to do that, and I need to tell myself, like I think it was Cassandra was saying this, that you are allowed to take a step away from it. You're allowed to not think about this. I can step away from this, and I have a plan for the summer. I hope so. I just need to see that come to fruition and things like that. So yeah, is there? We're getting very close to the end of the podcast. I'll start with Cassandra on this one. Is there anything you'd like to say about cosplay life balance, either like a personal anecdote some advice, or just anything relating to the subject?
I think, like, when it comes to, like, the cosplay life balance, everyone's is different. Do what you feel is best for you. But also, just remember that you are allowed to have a life. Cosplay isn't everything. It's not the end of the world. I've said this many a time before on this podcast, but at the end of the day, we're literally adults who put costumes on. Like, give yourself some time to do the other things that you enjoy. Whether, like you said, it's like going to the theatre, going to the cinema, seeing friends, gaming, like, try and give yourself time to do the things that you enjoy alongside cosplay, so you're not stressing out about it, because you don't want it to become a chore. That's my statement.
No, absolutely. Libra, what about yourself?
The balance is the most important thing, and if you find something is now becoming unbalanced, just take a break. And breaks are the most important thing for everything, health-wise. Like, if you need to have that one con off because your health is just in the dirt or your mental health is taking a nosedive, just do it. Like, it's, yes, you missed that con, but there are other cons out there. It's not just the one. Like, that con will always come around. Like, just take the time that you need to be the person that you want to be, and then you can inspire yourself to be better. That's pretty much it.
No, that's some very good words from both of you. I mean, I'll echo what my guests have said. Is like, you give yourself time, a break, recover. You don't have to make a new costume for every event. You don't have to hit those deadlines for every event. If you miss it, you miss it. It's fine. I've always said don't con crunch for anyone. You know, if you're that desperate, all right, I'll let it go maybe. But for me, you don't need a con crunch for me. I would rather you have a good night's sleep. You're not worrying about this, not worrying about that. You can always wear that costume for another event. Okay, like Cassandra does. She re-wears the costumes every so. I take the Mickey out of her, but it's wearing every version of The Witcher. What character is it? Trish Marigold, or every character from Game of Thrones. She just does that, but that's her choice, and it's fine. It's absolutely fine.
You give me a lot of crap for it.
I do. I really do. But like I said, it's there's no shame in doing that. It's absolutely fine. But yes, and like for photographers, I think if what I'm saying to you resonate with you, like going, oh shit, I am also thinking about editing photos, like, you know, night and day and things like that, and I've got a day job and things like that. Look, again, no, photos will be, you're not being paid for it, or you shouldn't be paid for it at Comic-Con, but you're not being paid for it. You know, there should have been some talk about expectations when these photos should come and things like that. But also, you know, like I said earlier, if your backlog is getting too big, just don't go to an event for, you know, until you start getting to a manageable state. All right, there's nothing that says photographers needs to be at every Comic-Con event, you know. And if you still want to go to Comic-Con, don't take a camera. Just give yourself a break. Remind yourself why you go to Comic-Con, and is it something that you've forgotten that, oh yeah, I used to go to Comic-Con to buy things or look at the merch. I didn't come here to take photos. But if you do go to Comic-Con and go, actually, I miss having a camera in my hand, taking photos, then you might want to look about managing that time. And like I said, do either less photos or less shoots at a con. Sorry, that may sound like the same thing. Basically, I'm saying is take less photos or go to less Comic Cons to take less photos, things like that. But yeah, it's, you know, you can't be everywhere and things like that. And I would strongly suggest you would go your way to just touch grass. Literally, go outside, touch grass, smell the air, do things that you promise yourself doing. You know, I keep saying to myself, I'm going to join an improv class. I still yet to do that, so that's still on my radar. If I don't do that, I might do instead learn line dancing. Is it line dancing? Yes, I've seen TikTok videos of it. I'm going, I do kind of dance like that anyway. So, not with the boots and the hat. No, no one gets me boots or hats.
Eddie, I think you'd look great in some cowboy boots. Like, specifically, like, some neon pink ones.
You can go fuck yourself.
That's mean.
No.
Mean. I'm just gonna go and cry now. Like, it's fine. This is what the therapist is gonna get told this week.
Go cry in that corner and stay there. Don't look at me. Just don't look at me.
Horrible person. All you do is abuse me, and I had witnesses of that at MCM, including a small child.
Yeah, but you think I care?
What does Eddie care about? That's a good subject.
One thing, me.
Yeah, I'm food.
And yes, I'm food. And on that note, I'm going to end the podcast, guys, or gals, should I say? Thank you very much for being on the podcast. It's been a thoroughly good conversation about cosplay life balance. I don't know if we got anywhere with anything, but I like to think we've inspired something in someone. Cassandra, where can they find you on the social medias?
On Instagram, I go as C_Lestrange. That's my most used social media. That's probably the best way to find me.
Cool. Libra, where can they find you on the social medias?
I am on Instagram at Libra_Lee7, and TikTok is probably my most used at the moment, which is the exact same handle.
Nice.
And then Twitch is just LibraLee7.
Oh, all one word.
Yeah,
fair enough then. If anyone needs to find me on the social medias, if you go to foodandcosplay.org/links, that's where you'll find my social media links. Go to all the popular ones of Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. Is Threads popular? I'll include Threads, fuck it. Threads as well. If you go to foodandcosplay.org, generally you'll find cosplay photos that I put up on the there. If you can't get to my what's it called, social medias. If you go, actually, that's a good point. If I've got a website, why anyway, that's neither here nor there. If you go to foodandcosplay.org/podcast, you can find cosplays I've recorded with these two guests, with other guests, with other subjects and things like that. I don't think we've got time to do a podcast extra with the guests here, but I will do a solo podcast extra for you guys, talking a bit more about why I was thinking about this subject, so that you just in case you want to know the psyche of me and things like that. I just want to say, like I said, Cassandra, Libra, thank you very much for being on the podcast. It's been great having you, getting your viewpoint.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, thank you for having us.
Not a problem. And on that note, I'm going to say goodbye. Cassandra will say goodbye within a 10-second period, and Libra will say goodbye. So, bye, guys!
Bye!
Bye!
Oh my god, that sounded synced up. Oh!